Have you ever wondered how one tiny creature can alter the course of humanity? Let's delve into the dreadful dawn of the bubonic plague, a dark chapter in our history. This devastating disease originated from the most unsuspecting culprits, fleas and rats. It's fascinating yet chilling how these small creatures were able to wreak such havoc. The bubonic plague, also known as the Black Death, made its first known catastrophic appearance in the 14th century. Imagine in an era where medical knowledge was limited, a disease so deadly arrived, causing not just suffering but an unprecedented loss of life. The plague, carried by fleas that infested rats, rapidly swept through towns and cities, leaving destruction in its wake. The Black Death was not an isolated incident. It marked the beginning of a series of deadly outbreaks that continued to torment humanity for centuries. The Black Death, a seemingly unstoppable force, was only the beginning of a series of deadly outbreaks. So how did this microscopic terror manage to spread so far and wide? The bubonic plague, a deadly disease, was no respecter of borders. Like a thief in the night, it slipped across Europe and Asia, carried by unwitting agents of destruction. Trade routes like the expansive Silk Road became highways of death as merchants moved goods from one region to another, inadvertently carrying the plague with them. But it wasn't just the traders. Armies, marching to the beat of war drums, also played a part in this grim dance of death. The plague hitched a ride with soldiers, spreading across continents like wildfire, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. The impact of the bubonic plague was nothing short of catastrophic. In heavily affected regions, it's estimated that between 30 to 60% of the population was wiped out. Imagine that for a moment. In some towns, 1 in every 2 people you knew would be taken by the plague. The scale of loss is almost inconceivable. The economy too took a significant hit. With so many people falling victim to the plague, fields were left untended, shops were abandoned, and trade routes became ghost paths. The bustling markets, once the lifeblood of towns and cities, fell silent. A crippling economic depression set in, the likes of which had not been seen before. The social structure was not left unscathed either. The plague was an indiscriminate killer, cutting down both the rich and the poor. The old order was disrupted, leading to social upheaval and even rebellion in some places. It was a time of chaos and uncertainty, a world turned upside down. In a world unprepared for such devastation, the bubonic plague left an indelible mark. It was a dark chapter in human history, a time of immense suffering and loss, but it was also a time of resilience and survival, a testament to the indomitable human spirit. The story of the bubonic plague is not just a tale of death and destruction, but also a story of our ability to endure, to adapt, and to overcome. How does society react when faced with an invisible and seemingly invincible enemy? This is a question that echoes through the ages, reverberating with particular intensity during the era of the bubonic plague. The human response to this deadly adversary was a complex mosaic of survival instinct, fear, and desperation. In the face of the plague, societies across the globe fell into a pattern of measures that aimed to combat this invisible enemy. One of the most prevalent was the imposition of quarantine measures. The concept of isolating the sick to prevent the spread of disease dates back centuries, and during the plague, it was no different. Entire neighborhoods, towns, even cities were cordoned off in an effort to contain the contagion. It was a desperate attempt to put a physical barrier between the healthy and the disease, a testament to the fear and uncertainty that reigned during this time. But isolation was not the only weapon in humanity's arsenal. In many places, the burning of affected areas became a common sight. Fire, seen as a purifier, was used in an attempt to cleanse the plague from the environment. Homes, belongings, and sometimes, tragically, even the bodies of the victims were consumed in these fires. These were drastic measures born from a dire situation, a reflection of the desperate lengths to which people were driven. However, the human response was not entirely defined by action. It was also shaped by blame. Fear and confusion often led to the scapegoating of certain communities, particularly those who were marginalized or misunderstood. From lepers to foreigners, many were blamed and persecuted, a dark reminder of how fear can breed prejudice and division. The plague not only tested human survival but also our morality and understanding. Amid the fear and chaos, humanity was forced to confront not just a deadly disease but also the very essence of what it means to be human. The measures taken, the actions pursued, they all form a mirror that reflects our strengths and weaknesses, our courage and our fears. It is through such trials that we come to understand ourselves better, for better or worse. But how did humanity eventually turn the tide against this deadly disease? This question leads us to a fascinating journey of medical breakthroughs and scientific perseverance. The story of humanity's victory over the bubonic plague is incomplete without the mention of Alexander Yersin, a Swiss-French physician and bacteriologist. In the late 19th century, Yersin identified the bacterium responsible for the plague, which we now know as Yersinia pestis. This was a significant turning point because for the first time, the invisible enemy had a name, a face, and could be studied in detail. Yet the discovery of Yersinia pestis was just the beginning. To defeat the plague, humanity needed a weapon, and that weapon came in the form of antibiotics. The 20th century was a golden era for medical science. It saw the development of antibiotics, including streptomycin, which proved effective against Yersinia pestis. Streptomycin, discovered by Albert Schatz and Selman Waxman in the mid-20th century, brought a glimmer of hope. For the first time, there was a cure, a chance to fight back against the plague that had caused so much suffering and death. The development of antibiotics was a landmark achievement, but it was not the only weapon in our arsenal. Alongside this, public health measures improved significantly. Quarantine procedures were refined. Hygiene and sanitation practices were better understood and implemented. The role of rats and fleas in transmitting the disease was recognized, leading to more effective pest control methods. All of these advancements converged to create a more robust defense against the plague. It was a monumental task, a testament to the indomitable spirit of human resilience and innovation. The plague had once seemed like an unbeatable foe, but through scientific discovery and medical advancement, humanity found the tools to fight back. Armed with knowledge and medical advancements, humanity finally gained the upper hand. The story of the bubonic plague is a testament to our capacity to overcome even the most formidable challenges when we apply our collective intelligence and resolve. So, what does the story of the bubonic plague tell us about ourselves as a society? The bubonic plague, also known as the Black Death, a deadly pandemic that swept across continents, changed the course of human history. It's not just a tale of devastation but also a story of transformation and adaptation. The plague brought about a seismic shift in medical practices. Faced with a disease they didn't understand, physicians of the time were forced to think outside the box, leading to breakthroughs in medical knowledge and techniques. The concept of quarantine was born during the plague years, a practice that remains a cornerstone of epidemic control today. But the effects of the plague were not confined to the realm of medicine. The massive loss of life shattered existing societal structures, leading to dramatic changes. With the labor force decimated, the feudal system that had dominated Europe for centuries began to crumble, giving way to a more modern social order. The plague also had profound cultural implications. Art and literature of the time were saturated with images and themes of death, reflecting society's struggle to comprehend the scale of the disaster. Yet, amidst the darkness, there were also glimmers of hope and resilience. The plague served as a catalyst for renewal and innovation, paving the way for the Renaissance and the Enlightenment. Looking back, the legacy of the bubonic plague serves as a stark reminder of our vulnerability to disease. But it also illustrates our capacity to endure, adapt, and evolve in the face of adversity. The lessons learned from this dark chapter of history continue to inform our response to pandemics today, guiding us as we navigate the uncertainties of the future. In a world where new diseases can emerge and spread with frightening speed, the experience of the bubonic plague underscores the importance of preparedness, resilience, and the unrelenting pursuit of scientific knowledge. The bubonic plague, a massive scar on human history, continues to shape our world, reminding us of our vulnerability and resilience. So, the bubonic plague, a microscopic terror, managed to change the course of human history. This tiny organism, with a deadly punch, emerged from obscurity and spread across continents, leaving devastation in its wake. The human response was a mix of fear, confusion, and resilience, as societies grappled with the unseen enemy. Yet, through the dark times, the spark of human ingenuity shone bright. The plague spurred medical breakthroughs that would later form the foundation of modern medicine. As the plague declined, humanity emerged with a newfound understanding of diseases and their control. The legacy of the bubonic plague is deep and enduring. It transformed societies, reshaped economies, and altered the course of human history. Its impacts resonate today in the way we approach public health crises and the precautions we take to prevent them. While the bubonic plague may be part of our past, it continues to echo in our present, reminding us of the delicate balance between humanity and nature.